on TSN 1050.
All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, up on TSN 2, YouTube Live, and Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on?
What's going on?
It wasn't a long time, Hazy B, but it was great being your roommate, even just for a little bit.
Can you imagine?
Honestly, I'm having nightmares about being your roommate for anything more than an hour.
Hey, you know what? I gave you your privacy because I said to myself, you only had one bed, and there was about a 3-hour gap there, and I'm like, that would be so weird because it was the end of the trip, and we're all a little bit kind of snippy. And I said, I'm going to give this guy some privacy, and I'm going to go sleep in the lobby with the other guy that was chilling out.
With the guy who literally we thought was a corpse. That guy didn't move for 4 hours.
Coma.
Noodles.
In a coma.
I watched the Lee Valley Phantoms and the Wilkes-Barre Scranton team play 3/4 of a hockey game, and that guy didn't wake up one time. He had his Chinese food on the ground, and he was all set in the lobby.
We got to explain this, okay? So on the Friday night after the show, for some reason, you had to get out of there. You had to take – I don't know why.
Like you couldn't take the 8 a.m. with us. You were gone. You had to leave.
Gone. You had to take the red-eye to Chicago and then into Toronto.
I got home at 10 a.m. What time did you get home?
About
I was in my house by 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you beat us by 7 hours. But anyway, Noodles and I stayed because the FanDuel party was on the Friday night, which was amazing. We
wasn't aware of it, but go ahead.
Yeah, and that's on us, and everyone's got to kind of be on the right page if we get to do this again.
Right.
So we moved hotels out to the airport for the Friday night, Noodles and I and Kelly. Right, and Jamie Rydell was there too. So the four of us were out there because we were all flying home the next day. You were gone, but your flight was a red eye. So Noodles and I were going into the FanDuel party, and you were going to have to kill 2 or 3 hours at the hotel. Right. So you asked me if I could get a room with two. Could I get a room with 2 queens? With the understanding that you would be laying on one of them. And, I guess just shutting it down for a while I'm gone. Yeah. I couldn't manage to get 2 queens. I only got 1 king, but I got the 2 cards. And I said, have at it, pal. Like, you're my partner. You're my buddy. I'd do anything for you. I'm heading into town. You enjoy yourself. Have a safe flight. And that explains kind of the crossover of being roommates. And
we
like I
in.
said, it wasn't a long time, but it was a damn good time.
Yeah, we pulled in, and Hayes goes, I guarantee you this guy left me something.
He's done something to that.
Dude, I'm almost 50 years old, man. Those days are over.
Well, the old O would have done something ridiculous.
Oh, exactly. I would have absolutely... I would have made it difficult for him to get out of there.
Right.
Or very uncomfortable once he entered.
And you're a new man now, so you didn't do that.
You got that.
That didn't happen. So it was all good. But there was a guy in the lobby. We got there. We were doing the show from 1 to 3 local. We probably got there at 4 p.m. local. And this guy was out like a light in the lobby.
Out cold with Chinese food beside him. And I watched the AHL game, and he only woke up one time, and he looked at me, and he goes like this. You know where any peeler joints are? And I said, I have no idea. I didn't know no idea. Yes.
And rolled back over. And
he did. As soon as I said I have no idea, he was back out again.
Well, at least he was alive because I did not see him move for an hour when we were sitting there. An hour. He didn't move. He had his hood up, and that was it.
He was out. Like, he was very, very comfortable sleeping there for at least 4 hours because we went to the FanDuel party at 8. And he was still asleep.
Well, Jamie, when you got back and went to your room, was that guy still there?
No, he was gone. The body had been removed. But we got home at 11 something, whatever it was, 11:30 type of thing. So it was, but that guy had put in a solid shift in the lobby of a hotel. And keep in mind, is that termed a hotel when it's only 2 levels? I think that's a motel, right?
I don't know. I thought there might have been a sneaky third level there, Noodles. I think there was a third floor.
Well, I was on the first level, and it was shady.
It was gritty. It was a gritty
doors.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
you
But
could
we
certainly
got out of there
tell
okay.
you weren't in your playing days when you opened the doors. Let's just say that.
Put it this way. I had to wear my shoes because for some reason the carpet was soaked. So I was walking around like nothing. I went to bed with my shoes on. Put it that way.
Well, you know whose room that probably used to be? The guy in the lobby.
Exactly.
It was
that
probably
guy
his room.
had done something to room 162. Whatever
God
happened
knows
there.
what was going on in there. They just brought a hose in and said, just hose the thing down.
Hose it out. He won't mind. That's what happened.
So I made a play on the way out that I'm curious about because we're going to get to the game where, the Olympics are obviously underway. We've got practice lines. We got a lot to get into today. We got Dan Patrick coming up, Eddie Olczyk. Eddie's over there. Eddie's an Olympian, right? Eddie was a part of the Olympics back in the day. Catch up with Eddie. We'll see if he bet the Seahawks, too, because we got to ask him about that. Do you take the Seahawks in the under? If I know Eddie, you probably did. But I made a move that I've never made before, and I've only seen in movies before, because we were working the whole time, and where we were downtown. We weren't by the stadium. It was basically up, breakfast with Al Roker, go do the show, come home, dinner with Teddy Bruschi, couple of drinks, shut the mill, right? Like, that was kind of our routine. It was all the same thing. And I never found a pop-up shop anywhere. I never found anything Super Bowl related because I was intending on buying some stuff. I got to the airport, and I bought some stuff at the airport.
At one of those cheesy little convenience stores?
I bought a shirt, a hat, a mug, and I brought it home thinking this counts, but I think my wife sniffed it out immediately. She's like, that doesn't look right. Like that,
Super Bowl winner, New England Patriots.
Right, exactly. Like it's not the greatest stuff in the world, but I was happy with the purchase because I felt like I needed something on the way home. But I don't know how you guys feel about that particular move. But
dude, there was a pop-up shop in the lobby of our hotel.
Yes.
That didn't look real to me. I don't know why. It looked really...
Oh, but a grocery store and an airport does?
I know. I was desperate. Desperate times call for desperate measures, man. I'm flying out. I'm like, I got to bring something home that would Aaron, indicate I'm actually here at the Super Bowl.
Aaron sniffed it out because it said Bob's goodies or whatever, and that's an airport bag that you carried.
Exactly.
And you paid $1,200, too, for it. Like,
it was exorbitant prices. She'll wash the shirt one time, and the thing will just, fold over.
Yeah.
And
that's
why
I was joking about it, but there were hats and shirts that were made for the New England Patriot Super Bowl champions.
And they're
gone. Those are gone. Somebody
gone.
is wearing them in a different country right now.
You know what's crazy is, when I think of the New England Patriots, I think of winning. Like, that's the first thing I think of is winning.
Right.
They have lost a lot of Super Bowls.
6.
Yeah, 6 all time. Bob Kraft has lost 5 himself. I believe he's 6-5 in the Super Bowl. So winning record, but there's a lot of losing there. Yeah. Yes, Brady and Belichick and winning and all that, and I think they deserve that recognition, and I think they deserve that initial thought.
Don't even think about
losers too in the Super Bowl.
Don't even
they're
think
losers.
About
5 losses is crazy in the last 30 years. 5 Super Bowl losses.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, what are the Cleveland Browns?
Well, they're not even in the conversation.
Well, exactly. So don't even go on this take that now all of a sudden New England Patriots are losers.
5 losses in 30 years, 4 in the last 20. That's a lot of losing in the Super Bowl.
Well, it's a lot of heartache, I will tell you that. But
I know
it's nice to be at the
You're
dance.
being an
He's
idiot.
taking a shot at Boston. Yeah, what you're doing.
I'm not going to do what Bill Belichick's girlfriend did and wear the Orchids of Asia T-shirt around.
That's outrageous.
Too far.
First of all, I thought they broke up.
No, they didn't. Belichick
but for
and his girl?
her to pull off the Orchids of Asia T-shirt with the logo on it, that is crazy, man. I can't believe he let her out of the house wearing that.
That's a commitment, though. That is basically she's saying, "I'm doing this for you." Mm-hmm. Somebody made that T-shirt for her. Like, that's not something that's just sitting on the corner in the airport like you talked about, Brian. Like, that is a...
She made the logo, too, because I Googled online what the actual logo is, and that wasn't it.
So that was... Googled? You better erase that history pretty quickly. You better not have been on a work phone or a work computer.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right. Like, she had to have either designed that or buy it off of one of those, thrift T-shirt places that make funny T-shirts. But that's a concentrated effort she did right there.
That's a big public event. That's at the Carolina game. That's a wild
scene. Carolina Duke, and she shared up an Orchids of Asia shirt.
Wow. That's deep-rooted hatred through Belichick to her. You know what I mean? Like, it's very Belichick and Kraft hate each other. Like, it just seems so obvious. And she has no relations to Robert Kraft, to my knowledge. So Belichick must hate Robert Kraft so much, it has transferred to his girlfriend that she's willing to take shots at him. And I have to believe the Hall of Fame stuff is connected here, right, as to why Belichick didn't get in, although Kraft didn't get in either.
Well, Belichick's saying, okay, I had Spygate, but you had the tug going on down in Florida, so what's worse?
Well, I don't know how to answer that.
Yes, you had the.
Got to be honest.
You had the visit to the massage parlor.
There was a raid, and you were involved in it.
Yes, it just is. To me, there is backstory to it. I just don't like it because, like Belichick, like it seems petty. Like Belichick was never. Maybe I'm wrong. He just never seemed this petty. Like this, it was in the media. He was mean to people, sure, or whatever. But he just seemed like he was put together, and that's it. Nothing bothered him, whatever. Mm-hmm. Now we see, like, everything seems to bother him, and everything.
He didn't let New England scouts in their practices at the beginning of the season. He banned all New England scouts.
It's disappointing because, it's like anything. Don't meet your idol because you'd be disappointed. It's just human, and I get it. But it's just not that I idolized him or anything. I'm just saying that I just expected more from him, like in knowing his public persona. I just expected this guy to not care about anything and just go away. And now he's got to be front and center, and his girlfriend's got to be there. Like, it's disappointing.
He does. He cares, clearly, because it's not like he didn't see it. Like, that was an orchestrated plan. Let's go courtside, Carolina Duke, Orchids of Asia T-shirt, day of the Super Bowl, or weekend of the Super Bowl when the Pats are back in it. That's an orchestrated plan. So that one stings for Kraft. The loss stings. And, ultimately, listen, Seattle, they earned it. Like, they earned it. They won the top seed in the tougher conference. The toughest division in the league this year was the NFC West, with the Rams and the Niners, right on them. And, sure, they got somewhat of a cupcake schedule themselves, in my opinion, beating the Niners when the Niners were just done. Like, the Niners beat Philly. They come back. There were so many injuries. They were done. The Rams gave them a bit of a push, but the Rams, I didn't love the way they were playing down the stretch, including in the playoffs. But that's not Seattle's fault. And, New England had no answer. Offensively, that's as bad as you can play.
Dude, that's the second year in a row where the defense completely obliterated the opposition. Remember last year, Philly's defense absolutely mangled up Patrick Mahomes?
Yep.
Like, they suffocated Patrick Mahomes of all QBs. And then it happened again this year. With that Drake May, like, you could talk about him being overwhelmed, which he was, and he's got to figure out a way to make something happen. But it was the same thing that happened last year. They literally took away all time and space, and they put the gas down, and he couldn't do anything. And they crushed him.
They did.
Defense, like, it was an incredible performance. Like, if you want to get into the minutia of the game and you kind of dig the details, like, that's as good as you can play defensively. Like, that's what they did.
Exactly.
The question I have, though, was May looked overwhelmed. Now, was he just overwhelmed because his offensive line was just he was running for his life, or was the moment too big for him? Because he was missing some throws that seemed to be, I wouldn't say routine, but he should have made some throws.
I would say a combination of both, Noodles. I think their offensive line struggles have been well documented throughout the playoffs,
Right.
And that was something that everyone was detailing leading up to Sunday. Like, will the offensive line be able to hold up on this pressure? And it wasn't even close. But, like, this interception
that pick
was shown.
Ridiculous.
That's I don't know what he was doing there. He just threw that ball up. And, turnovers and interceptions and bad throws, and he had happy feet. And he's a really young guy, and it was a really big moment.
Yeah,
so I think it's a combination
like C.J. Stroud.
of both.
Remember during the Super Bowl, I don't know which guest we were talking to, but we were talking about the quarterback being under distress and being able to kind of move past that and make positive plays. And I think I brought up C.J. Stroud, how he just couldn't deal with it. He started throwing up lob balls and for turnovers, and that's what May did yesterday.
That's it. You get into a dark place and you just start trying to do something, and you pray. You throw the ball and you pray. Yeah. And when you're in that spot, you're done. And what I think Darnold did so well was he just acknowledged that and realized, I don't have to be Superman. I just can't throw it away. And
I think that was the game.
Exactly.
Right.
Like the best stat for Darnold the whole game was no turnovers. That's all he had to do to win the game. Yeah. Like, and I'm sure McDonald, I'm sure Kubiak, his offensive coordinator, they were probably discussing that leading up to it, and I'm certain they would have been during the game, because not like Darnold had some unbelievable game. He didn't even win the MVP. Like, Walker deserved it with the way he ran the ball last night. But Sam Darnold, it was basically right in front of him. Don't be a hero. Don't be stupid. Protect the ball. Don't throw it away. And you win. And you're a Super Bowl champ. And his credit, he did just that. He didn't force anything. He didn't have to.
Let me ask you this. If you were an owner and you were looking for a head coach, and Mike McDonald, the defensive guru, is available, or Sean McVay, the offensive guru, is available, kind of known for the best at each, which one are you going to take?
Great question.
Yeah.
I'd probably lean McVay.
No way, dude.
I'd lean
No
McVay
way.
because of the rules and the way the game is played and the entertainment value of it. I guess as an owner, I think I can sell McVay a little bit better. But I hear what you're saying. Like, McDonald is 38 years old. This guy's a Super Bowl champ now.
This guy, you know how much money this guy's going to make, for the rest of his career? Because he's going to be the defensive McVay, where
That's
everyone
right.
It's like everybody that shakes his hand, they say this about McVay all the time, you shake his hand, you become smarter. Like the McVay tree, like this McDonald character, he's just you could see his face after the game. He was just staring around. He's like, I just won the damn Super Bowl.
And earned it, though, too. Earned it, though. Like
yes, this year they did. But coming into the season, Noodles,
I
don't remember anyone
2 years
saying,
in a row.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't remember anyone saying Seattle's on the radar here.
No.
You know, the thought was they'll be better, and they got Darnold, and that was a smart play. But I didn't see Super
Brian.
Bowl.
Our predictions at the start of the year, you and I believe, took the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Where on your list would be the Seattle Seahawks? On that list at the starting of the season.
Oh, man, Noodle. I don't think they would not have been in the top 10.
No.
There's no way they're in my top 10. There's
they
no
only
way.
crept into your picture around Christmas, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think.
Or before that.
I think early in the year you realized, their defense is legit. Like, that became pretty clear. And Darnold was doubling down on what he did last year. Like, okay, they've got a great defense and a legit quarterback now. You can win with that. Super Bowl aspirations, though, I wasn't certain of it all the way up until last night. I wasn't sure they were going to beat the Pats. I got to be clear on that. I thought it would be a closer game. Crazy thing is, the Pats, the first half offensively, that's as bad as you can play. That's 1952, no playbook, brutal offense, and it was 9-0. They're 2 possessions away. They're a touchdown and a field goal from taking the lead. And it was 12-0 after the third quarter, which is just crazy. And then Bedlam in the fourth. But still, I mean, it ultimately comes down to Seattle. They earned it, man. They went through the toughest division, tougher conference. Whoever they play, they play. You can hate on New England. You can say they weren't good enough. You can say this, that, or the other about the schedule. I think all of it is accurate in terms of the assessment. In the end, Seattle's a Super Bowl champ. And listen, the game was not a great game. It was a weird build-up to the game. There wasn't a lot of buzz on it. These two, again, it comes back to what you just said, Noodles. Part of the year, we weren't talking about these two teams.
No, not at all.
So there wasn't this big buildup like there would have been if the Bills did it, or the Chiefs did it again, or the Eagles did it again. They didn't get that luxury. As a result, it felt like a very tamed, buildup, and the game stunk for the most part based on entertainment value. It was a terrible game for entertainment purposes. Awful.
But what about Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny. I'll say this about Bad Bunny. I thought the energy was there. I thought the ending was really cool, like calling out all the countries and all that. I didn't know Bad Bunny before. Like, I know who he was, but I don't know any of his songs. I still don't know any of his songs.
No.
And, the music for me, it doesn't land. It's not my stuff. So, I don't know. It wasn't like, it wouldn't be in my top 5 all time, but.
I thought this guy was going to get up on, and all of the stuff, how it was put together was very well done.
Yeah.
But I thought when this guy started cooking, I was like, oh, I know this song. I like this song. I didn't recognize one song.
Well, he only has
I didn't even recognize the guy's face. I'm like, I've never seen this guy before. But I thought the way it was put together, what's the word? The
choreography of it.
Choreography was fantastic.
Brilliant.
It didn't land for me because I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is, and I don't know.
It's music I don't know.
My
totally
wife and my daughter liked the music because they know the music.
Mm-hmm.
I had to Google it to see. He has 3 top 10 hits. So it's not like it's McCartney. It's not like it's Prince or anybody else that has 50 hits or 20 hits. Like this guy is, but he's an entertainer, and you know what? I agree. I like the choreography. I thought
I apologized to
was
Paulie Mack last night during the performance.
Paul McCartney would have been pretty good last night.
Baby,
at least you know the song.
My car.
The point being is this guy, I don't know his music that well, but that doesn't mean anything to anybody. I like different music. But Lady Gaga always moves the needle for me. I think she's immensely talented. But at the end of the day, I didn't even know. Did anybody know Lady Gaga was just going to show up out of nowhere? It's almost like he's like, I don't have enough of hits, so I'm going to put her in here, type of thing.
Sticky old Ricky Martin made an appearance too.
Well, I like Ricky
Don't forget
Martin
Sticky
too.
old
Was
Ricky
he in
Martin.
there too? I didn't notice that. All the cameos.
With his dyed beard.
I don't know. There was lots of complaining online, lots of people that loved it. Like anything. People that loved it, people that hated it. It didn't move the needle for me. My top ones are like Prince. I thought Prince was amazing at Super Bowl.
Bruno
that type
Mars
of
was
stuff.
cool.
Bruno Mars.
Timberlake was good.
Everybody
There's been a lot
there
of
is
good ones.
so
Rihanna was
talented,
good.
but it was just like I say, my daughter, my wife know the music. They enjoyed it.
Well,
me, not so much.
Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Like if it's pop music, like modern pop music, I'm out because I'm just not in on it. I don't.
Right.
It's not my stuff.
Same thing.
Like I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not the music I'm following. And we said it last week. I don't know any of the guy's songs, and I kept waiting to hear, just like you. I'm like, oh, I know that, and I never got one. And then he's speaking Spanish, so I'm like, I don't even know where this is going.
Apparently,
half the time.
on the way out, he was singing his biggest song, and he just kind of faded it out. I was like, okay, like that's.
Well,
that was the weirdest part for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I will say this. I've seen the numbers in the States. I think it's like hit numbers we've never seen before.
135 million, the highest viewed.
Which is
halftime.
Proof that, like, the more intrigue, because I was intrigued based on the fact that he was singing in Spanish. I'm like, how am I going to experience this? Like, I was genuinely curious because I'm like, I don't know any of his songs and I don't speak Spanish. I don't know what the hell this is going to be like. So I'm like, I got to check this out. But, all the other messaging and all that kind of stuff, I'm not following it because I'm sitting there drinking beers with buddies and all that. We're coming and going, hey, are the nachos ready? Like, I'm not picking out stuff like what this means and what that means.
It wasn't that, for me, it wasn't that anticipated. There's a lot of people that anticipated, loved it. A lot of people that anticipated, hated it. For me, it didn't. I didn't care.
I hear you.
I was in and out of the room, and
when it becomes political or what have you, that actually draws, I think, more attention to it, regardless of what side you're on.
Fair enough.
I think more people are like, all right, I got to check this out because am I going to be happy or am I going to be even more angry? And as a result, Bad Bunny and the NFL win in the end because you get 135 million Americans tuning in.
We had it on in our house.
It's huge numbers, man. So did we. So I thought, again, the energy was cool. Choreography was cool. I thought the end was cool. Everything else, not my thing. I don't need Bad Bunny back in 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure he'll still be popular.
He might not be around in 2 or 3 years. But
exactly.
He's, you know what? He did a great job for what he was brought in to do yesterday.
I'm more old school. Like, I loved, like, the Dr. Dre, Eminem one. Like, I'm more nostalgic. That's why I love Paul McCartney stuff. Like, I bring out the Stones and let them stand there and play. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. But I'm already watching the game.
Paulie Mack, accept my apology.
Exactly.
As
because when you rank all of them, as far as, what do you judge it on? Popularity? Because now they can check the streaming numbers? Or is, like I say, a Paul McCartney or a Sting or a Prince or Rihanna or you name it, all of it over the years. Justin Timberlake. Wasn't it Timberlake that...
Well, Janet Jackson and Timberlake.
Janet Jackson, and then
he came back again, Timberlake.
The malfunction.
And did...
He's
good, in Minnesota, though. I think he did. Adam Levine did one, I think, one year. Anyway, there's been a bunch of them over the years.
Yeah.
It's a big part of the show. Like, ultimately,
absolutely.
it's a big part of the, like, kind of completing the entertainment. But like Bad Bunny, just not my guy. I'm not into Bad Bunny, so the music itself is not going to land. But I don't think they care about the three of us. They care about everyone else because we're watching the game anyway.
Exactly.
That's the reality of the halftime show is to drag the people that maybe aren't into the game. I'm watching the game, so put whoever you want in the halftime. All right, so we've got Eddie Olczyk coming on from Italy in about an hour. Dan Patrick on what he made of the Seahawks win last night. Which of these two teams has a better chance of competing next year for a Super Bowl? Where do we go into the offseason? Lots of things to get into with Dan Patrick. And, again, lines are out early. Canada getting after it in a few days. So we're going to take a look at what Canada and the Americans have in store as we get close to the Olympic Games. And the women are playing right now. And sounds like Marie-Philippe Poulin took a hit, left the game, did not return for the second period. That could be a substantial piece of news.
Desperately need her to return.
Yeah, if the GOAT is out, that could be trouble for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. Lindsey Vonn, speaking of GOATs and trouble at the Olympic Games, and lots to get into as we move forward here. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Baby, you can drive my car. Yes,
There we go, JP. Hour firing on all cylinders. Did you see that Stephon Diggs' girlfriend, Cardi B, they broke up in the middle of the Super Bowl? They broke up. Cardi B put eyes on Diggs' ex with their kid at the Super Bowl, and the kid had a Diggs jersey on, and apparently it was over. They unfollowed each other, and it was like...
So disappointing.
So weird.
So disappointing. You'd think Stephon Diggs would have other things on his mind, like winning the Super Bowl or,
well, dude,
in this
I
case,
think he had to get to the
losing it.
airport right after the game. He had a court appearance at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not kidding.
Well, that might also be on his mind, I suppose.
JP, look that up to make sure that's correct. But I'm pretty sure he had to get right to the airport.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. Cardi B... I don't know what the deal is with her, the whole scene, all the celebrities, who's dating who,
I can't keep track of
I
them.
can't keep up with all of it. I can't keep up with all of it. Although there was a prop on whether or not Cardi B would be shown during Bad Bunny's set, and she was. So if you put some scratch on that, there you go. But maybe that was the problem. Maybe Stephon Diggs didn't want her to be a part of that. Maybe it was a two-way street. Anything's possible.
I saw two guys that put $10,000 on the anthem if the camera was going to pan to one of the players that would start crying, and they streamed it live. It was pretty. They missed it. Nobody was crying.
No one was crying.
I don't think there was anybody. That's $10,000
gone.
For, 2 minutes, and you're watching to see if somebody. Who was it that was crying during the Chris Stapleton one? That was.
Well, Sirianni was.
Sirianni, yeah.
The Eagles head coach. Like he had full-blown tears coming down. Shout out to Noodleson. We should say that we're half an hour in.
Well,
Luke,
we're staying humble. I didn't want to start
humble.
the show by
so they won the whole thing. Is that what I'm?
Well, they won the playoffs. I mean, we won the regular season, which is more substantial and meaningful. But
hold on a second here. This is what I don't understand. You just said you won the regular season, which is more substantial. That's like winning the President's Trophy. And we won the Stanley Cup. So would you prefer the President's Trophy or the Stanley Cup? I'm fine.
There's just so much that goes into a regular season.
That's what I'm saying.
Much.
It's like the Premiership. That's how I look at it. Much more significant. But
Winnipeg Jets won the President's Trophy last year.
Great team. Will never be forgotten.
Great team. Yeah.
Will never be forgotten. I've already forgotten who won the Cup last year. I don't even remember who won.
Exactly.
I remember who won the President's Trophy. Congratulations.
Listen, you guys played great in the regular season. The thing is everything was a little bit fractured this year because of what's his name, Benedict Arnold there, the guy who jumped halfway through, put on waivers or whatever. So what team are you actually on? Oh, because you started joining our team.
I'm glad you brought it up because I'm officially announcing my resignation from all parties, and I am starting a super team next year called Studio 6. Myself, Puffy, Rennie, I don't know his last name. He's the cameraman down there, and JP. That's our team. We are Studio 6.
Okay. So that'll be established right here, right now. And
yes.
by next September, you guys are alive. Okay. We're doing it differently next year. I'm fine with that. We got to spice it up a little bit.
So we're going to have 3 teams that go against each other?
We're having
Maybe
3
more.
teams.
Maybe more. Who knows? Maybe more. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I felt for Al's brother, man. He and I are like McDavid and Draisaitl the last 2 years.
Dude, you got to gas that guy, too. Like, he overthinks. He's Fergie, man.
He's great in the regular season. We get into the playoffs, and I gotta own it. I didn't pull my weight necessarily, but anyway. All right, Dan Patrick coming up. We'll get to Luke later this week, and we'll allow him to gloat. He's going to be just so obnoxious.
He's very excited. He was texting
Imagine
me
that guy. I know. Imagine that guy. Like, his old team won the Super Bowl. All the people, all the connections, and he is tweeting to us. Congrats, it's just that was the first thing on his mind.
Yes.
Not TV, not Duffy, not anything.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Beating HBO in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So shout out to Luke and Noodles and everyone involved. So the lines are out, and obviously they are subject to change. I mean, John Cooper is going to make that call. But what I found interesting about the Canadian lines is that they have split up McDavid, McKinnon, and Crosby on 3 different lines. So they've got McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Horvat up the middle. Those are your 4 centers up the middle. And McDavid is on a line with Celebrini and Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson was a debatable player to make the team in the eyes of the public. That doesn't mean privately it was. Maybe Team Canada always thought he'd be there, but he wasn't there at the 4 Nations. A year ago, he didn't make that team. And 12 months later, he's not only on this team, he's playing on the top line with McDavid and Celebrini. And Celebrini wasn't at the 4 Nations either.
I just want to say this about the guy. For everybody that thinks he's just some goon that runs around and hurts people, he's a hell of a player, too. The guy scores, he makes plays, he kills penalties. It's not like Dave Semenko playing with Gretz. Like, this guy can play. How this dynamic is going to work, they're going to have to figure that out. The one thing about John Cooper, as we all know, he's not going to sit and watch something go down the toilet bowl. Like, if this doesn't work, he's going to flip it around and find. You saw last year, it started out with Marner, I think, with McDavid. Yeah. And then, he's going to keep going until he finds the right combination.
You're 100%. Marner started with him, wasn't playing well, so Cooper took him away, but then found a shift for him in overtime, and that's how Marner was able to get it to McDavid. So he's a master of, moving things around. Couple surprises, like Wilson being there. If I was Tom Wilson, and I loved his comment saying, hey, I'm in the penthouse type of thing. If I'm him, I go to McDavid and say, how does Hyman play? How do you want, because that's exactly what he needs to do. You go to Sidney Crosby in the dressing room and go, how did Pascal Dupuis or how did Chris Kunitz play with you? Straight line hockey, go get the puck and get your talented lines mates. Not that Tom Wilson isn't talented. What I'm saying is straight line, go get the puck. What I liked was, I liked that third line. I thought that, it was Crosby, Marner, and Stone. Did I see? Was that that's a pretty nifty line. I'd also have Sam Bennett in for Bo Horvat.
I think they'll get there. I think the fact that he wasn't on the team and he just got on means you almost have to start him as the 13th or 14th forward because that's what's happened with Jarvis and Bennett. I do wonder if Point and Cirelli not being there have jammed things up. I wonder if Point was going to play with McDavid and Celebrini. And now he's not there, and they got to make an adjustment. So they've moved Wilson up. I would guess Cirelli was going to be the 4th-line center, maybe the 3rd-line center, and Sid was going to play on the left. These injuries, Point and Cirelli are both centers. I think Cirelli would be more natural up the middle, killing penalties. I think Point was likely going to move to the right side. But, you're going to get centers playing the wing. Celebrini, Suzuki's doing that. We'll see what happens with Bennett if and when he gets in. But I love that Celebrini is with McDavid personally. That's what pops, beyond the Wilson. Wilson is just a different story, because of who he is, his history, the way he plays, the fact that he wasn't on the 4 Nations, the fact that he made this team, and now he's on with McDavid. That obviously sticks, and it's a big talking point. But I think Celebrini, again, McDavid, McKinnon, Makar, the only 3 guys I can see on this team who have been better than him this year. Celebrini has legitimately been the 3rd or 4th best player on the Canadian team this year. Yeah. Yes, he's young. and maybe the moment will be too big for him. But I think he's that good. Like Marchand, Stone,
Hagel. 3 months ago, Brian, you were like, I don't think. Yeah, you said I don't think this kid should just be on the team. I think he should be a primary player.
Yes.
It would have been so easy to say, Macklin Celebrini, you're down there with Sam Bennett and Seth Jarvis, and you're just going to sit and wait. Maybe you're not going to play. Like some great players didn't play. PK Subban went over to Russia, I think, and didn't play very much in Sochi. Like he was the extra D man, or he didn't dress or something. Like there's been great players that just don't play, and it would have been so easy to say you're young, you don't know, but that just goes to show you that just nobody was bluffed out by this guy's performance. Like he's the real deal Holyfield, man. Like, and he's gonna be put in a position to score. Like you're playing with McJesus,
right?
Yeah. And it's a big responsibility. The one thing that John Cooper in his media said, and I've kind of been like banking this. He said 24 minutes a night these guys might be used to, on their respective teams. He goes, what he learned at the Four Nations face-off was that game was so fast that 16 to 17 minutes pretty much did it for all of them because the pace was so high and the shifts were that short. So they felt they needed more depth, like they needed to use that third and fourth line, not just run a top two lines. So that's why I think he went down the middle of the ice, breaking all three of those up and having Crosby, center that third line because you're going to need to roll them over. And if he's talking about getting 16 to 17 minutes for maybe a top 9, that looks now you can match up against anybody in the tournament and go, I feel comfortable with whoever's on the ice. And obviously the fourth line as well, but I'm talking Crosby,
especially
McKinnon,
the top
McDavid.
three.
Right.
Like if you – and I like this idea, and I was surprised they didn't apply it at the Four Nations, is you have McDavid, McKinnon, Sid. Like Sid's still pulling his weight. And Sid is still a top 12 or 15 player in the world. He's still putting up numbers. I think he's going to be shot out of a cannon here because of the nature of things. He's the captain again, which he should be. And to your point of you can't play a guy 25 minutes into the ground. It's too fast. It's too much anxiety and energy, I'm sure, involved. You can't do it. You got to be in a situation here where you can rely on multiple lines, and I think really it's up the middle of the ice. Like that's where you got to compete. And if you have McDavid, McKinnon, and or Crosby on the ice 95% of the game, you're going to be in a good place.
The only guy who's going to play north of 25 minutes is Makar. And I think he has to because that defensive core is good. But outside of Makar, you got a bunch of good players. Like that's the difference. That's when I look at that Team USA guys, there's a 3 or 4 pack that scare the hell out of you where you look at Team Canada and it's one guy on an island and then the rest are really good players. So they're going to have to play, as a team, as a group. But I'm rolling Makar out 28 to 30 minutes.
For fun, Jamie. And I think in the Four Nations he wasn't even healthy. Like I think it was a question mark. He was going to play the gold medal game.
Right.
So I think it's going to be he's a chance. Like there was the McDavid moment in the last Four Nations. I think there's a chance that although Quinn Hughes could do it, and we got to get to a funny story about one of the most petty things I've ever seen on a National Hockey League's Twitter feed. But I think Cale Makar could go nuts and really kind of steal the show.
I think he has to, because, you look at the rest of the defense corps for Canada, obviously very good. He's playing with Taves, who he knows and will fit in beautifully with.
Half the game.
And then it's Morrissey, Parayko, Harley, Doughty, Theodore, Sanheim. Those are all really good players. Doughty's going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot, clearly. I don't know if any of the other guys are going to the Hall of Fame. Like, it's possible, but none of them are locks. And Taves, I don't think, is going to the Hall of Fame. The point I'm making is, you look at past years of, Canada Cups and Olympics where it was like, in 98, it was like Pronger, Niedermeyer, Bork, Coffey, Foote. It was insane. Like, it was insane. And they lost that Olympics. In 02, it was Rob Blake. Like, all these guys, the sixth defenseman was like Adam Foote.
Yeah, animals.
And now this defense corps is Makar, then a drop-off, and it's more because of Makar's greatness. But I think he is imperative to success. Like, I think he's got to be phenomenal and play a ton of minutes.
Another guy, like, I don't know how Shea Theodore to me is like a fantastic player.
I think so too.
You got to play, like, I don't know how, and I get it, Parayko, he's got some length to him, and he's a right-handed shot, and he was okay in the Four Nations, but I don't know how you keep that Shea Theodore off the ice, man. I think he's just a tremendous defenseman.
I agree with you, to the point where I think it's Makar, then Theodore, then everybody else. Like, I like, and listen,
like
Josh Morrissey
too,
should
Jamie.
be right there, too.
Yeah, Morrissey's a really good player.
But I think Theodore is this. If we just talked about speed, then we're talking about elite skating. You need skaters, and Theodore is that. Yeah. I think Parayko and Doughty, guys like that who are either longer or older, you're going to have to watch their minutes. Mm-hmm. And I know there's this thing with left and right and all that. I'm sorry. If I have to play Shea Theodore beside Josh Morrissey because that I want him in the top four, and if you perceive it's Taze, Makar, Morrissey, Theodore, I need to find him ice time. And I come back to my worry is we all know the three best players are Canadian. Sid. McDavid into McKinnon into Makar, and then, yes, Sid, everybody else. But I look at that defensive core for the U.S.
Oof.
And there is, for fun, it's Hughes into Werenski into Sanderson.
Let me run through the.
Yes, please do, because I thought I saw Sanderson on the outside. Is that crazy or not?
No, he's not. The pairings are absurd. So as of day one over there, Hughes with McAvoy, Slavin with Faber, who were outstanding as a shutdown pairing at the Four Nations. Sanderson with Werenski. Now, one of them has to play on their offside. I would guess Werenski probably will, more veteran. I don't know. You see Sanderson. You think he's capable?
Sanderson can play both sides.
Okay.
Same thing with Werenski. Though they might be, those two can skate forever.
Right.
Like that's an insane.
That six-pack of defense is honestly outside of Makar. I'm trying to think of which Canadians would even knock one of those six out. I mean,
dude, it looks like honestly one of the best defensive cores ever assembled.
It's phenomenal. Like it really is.
But there's no other way around than looking at that D core.
That's what I'm saying. Is I still believe in Team Canada. I still believe that in the elite talent and all that. But we have to, and the microscope will be on the goaltending and the D for me in Team Canada.
Big time.
And the U.S. They're no slouch. They're forwards. Yes, they don't have McDavid and McKinnon up there, but they got a lot of great players.
They're loaded everywhere. They're up front. They got a ton of talent, man.
Yeah.
Eddie O on that, more coming up. And listen, you can't sleep on the Swedes, the Finns, Czechia.
Agreed.
You get over to Europe too. It's a different world over there, man. It's a different vibe. The Americans historically have not performed well outside of North America. They have to prove they can do it differently. All right, so that and more still to come. Dan Patrick on the Super Bowl and what we can expect throughout the offseason. Get into a number of things with Dan, Eddie O coming up. Best bet still to come. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on TSN 2.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you more ways to play your game your way. Thanks again to FanDuel for all the hospitality this week. What a scene in San Francisco. It was awesome, and good to be back. And now it's kind of, once the Super Bowl's over, now the Olympics, trade deadline, we're getting closer to the Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA playoffs, golf season, right? This is how warped we are here in Southern Ontario based on the weather. It has been so cold, so bad, that I had someone say this in an excited manner. It's only going to be -1 tomorrow, and we're, like, celebrating that.
Yes.
They're like, no, it's not bad. Actually, it's great. It's only going to be, like, -1 tomorrow. And we're supposed to be happy about that. And that's supposed to be really, like,
I had the same
a positive
thing.
scene.
I had a guy walk out at Mercado today, and he was just chatting me up, and he goes, supposed to be 1 tomorrow, or -1. He goes, isn't that awful I'm saying? He actually called himself out, but he goes, I'll take it. He goes, I'll take it. I didn't want to tell him I was in California.
Just when you leave San Fran,
ago.
it's like you come back, you're like, we're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
It's there's a lot of sun out there. It's like perfect golf weather. every single day.
God, it's like it's kind of you wear like a zip up to the course, and then by the third hole you take it. Oh, it's just
it's perfect.
So perfect.
Yeah, it's
By
perfect.
the way, I met the biggest loser on the weekend at the. Have you ever heard of this Jack Doherty guy? He's like a YouTuber.
I know who that is. Yeah.
He showed up at the Waste Management. Have you seen this production?
Yeah, he yelled at Mackenzie Hughes or something.
No, he paid a guy $100 to. And then he got this guy has the most punchable face I've ever seen.
He walks
in my
around
life.
with security, and that's why he mouths people off.
Yeah,
but,
he takes people's hat, like bodybuilders' hats off, and then he tells the security, like, people want to kill this guy.
But he is a clown. And you know what? Somebody is going to knock him out, and they're going to beat up the security guy, too, because you mess with the wrong – eventually they're going to find the wrong person. He's going to knock the hat off of a UFC guy or something,
right.
and the guy's going to pretzel the security guy and then stuff that guy into a garbage can.
Here's the thing. Like, the Waste Management is – it's a crazy gong show, and I'm sure there's booze involved. Why are you $100 and you're doing that?
He paid this guy. Mackenzie Hughes was in there, and as soon as he took his club away, the guy yells, "Jackass!"
Yeah, but $100, like that's like grow up, dude. That's another thing. Like, hey, I'll give you $10,000. I'm not advocating that type of behavior, but for $100, you're gonna get yourself tossed from the Waste Management because you know someone's gonna call you out, get all these clowns out.
Yeah.
You know, Mackenzie Hughes would have been in his right to come over and say, "Get these guys out. This guy, that guy, everyone." It's it's such loser behavior.
Oh, God, is he a loser, that
I'm just
guy.
happy it wasn't Doogie because he was there.
He looks a little bit like Doogie, though.
He's kind of got a Doogie vibe. Now, Doogie doesn't have a punchable face. We love Doogie.
Doogie has a lovable face.
But he does kind of look like Doogie a little bit. But
a lot.
Yeah, Doogie was at the Waste Management and couldn't make it back today. I don't know if he's struggling or
maybe it is.
Jack Doogie.
Jack or whatever. It's Jack Doogie.
Could be.
You never know.
But shout out to your boy, Chris Gotterup, who got himself another win. Matsuyama had it, man. Matsuyama had it. And I
put it in
I
the
bet
drink
on Decky.
didn't he put it in the drink in the
playoffs?
Oh, somebody was yelling at him, too. They were it's just, I don't know. Decky was pissed.
Decky was that's his tourney, man. He's won it twice. He had it. It just got away from him.
Yeah.
Hour 2 coming up. Dan Patrick, Eddie Olczyk from Italy. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan. We've got Dan Patrick calling in a few moments. Dan was obviously down there in San Francisco. His set was next level. He was not even at Radio Row. He was somewhere else. And they had I'll say this about San Francisco. The background shots are elite.
Yes.
Elite as it gets.
Yes. With like the Golden Gate Bridge and Alcatraz and
palm trees,
everything. Yeah, it's a phenomenal city for that. So Dan's coming up, and always a bittersweet day. You know, it was cool to watch the Super Bowl. It wasn't a great game. It's a horrible game, quite frankly. But now you're into the off season, and you're 7 months away from the NFL returning. 4 or 5 from the CFL returning. But the off season's always crazy. In terms of free agency and the draft and the build-up, and now everyone gets to reset. We start to rethink what could happen into the future. So Dan on that and more coming up, and Eddie Olczyk later in the hour. We were talking about, Canada and the U.S., and I don't know if you guys saw it, but Matthews and Sid both had neck guards on.
They have to wear
They all do. They all have to
wear them?
So it's mandatory in the IIHF. So they were talking about it. Everyone's trying to get used to it, Brian. And the guys are putting tape. I saw Brady Tkachuk put tape around his. So it's mandatory. Sid even said he's going to try 2 or 3 different ones. But, yeah, it looks a bit weird. But, so be it.
Yeah, you got to wear it. You got to wear it. I didn't realize that. I thought it was just the 2 of them that were
being different. No,
yeah, they're the captains of the team, so maybe they were trying to lead by example. But that would make sense.
Everybody's got to wear it.
Mandatory.
Yeah, that's a different look for NHL players. Like
different feel.
What is a more kind of stunning sight when you look at an NHL player? One of them wearing a neck guard or a cage?
A cage.
Cage? The big neck guard's wild, man. These guys,
can't you get, isn't there neck guards like Jamie, those little, goalies had little mini Vaughn ones that were almost a crew neck type of thing?
You can, but I believe there's some sort of a rule. They have to be a certain height, all of that type of stuff. I don't know. I mean, my son's 8, Brian, your daughters are young. Like, they have neck guards built into their shirts and everything. This is just something that the IHF. Honestly, I was sitting there this morning watching all the interviews and everything. I don't want to be a negative Nelly here. I'm terrified of the reffing over there. I'm sorry. I think the European reffing stinks. And
Jamie, I think it's NHL refs.
Well, I hope so.
But it's played by double IHF rules.
Exactly. The problem is I've always hated those rules. And to me, when I played in Europe and all of that went over, and it just – those rules are not – like, we're so used to something different. And I think we have to just reset ourselves and go, that's the rule for what it is over there. Because when I watch, European hockey or World Championships and all that, the refs are awful. The reffing is awful.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
Brace yourself for it.
And I'm going to have to brace myself, because you are going to see some ridiculous things, and you're going to go, what happened? Yeah, and then we're going to go, that's just the reffing over there, and that's how they call it over there.
There's going to be a Tom Wilson hit where little Igor, the ref from Latvia, is just going to be like,
well, so, Brian, let's clarify. Are the NHL refs for every game in the Olympics?
I don't know.
Men's
I
Olympics?
can't imagine that's
I don't think
the case.
there is. That's
I
why
doubt it.
You're going to get some guy from Sweden.
Yeah,
he's got the helmet. He's got the camera attached to his helmet.
Yep.
He's skating around out there, and I'm sorry. I've always, when I watch the World Championships and I watch all of the, European hockey over there, that's the one thing that drives me nuts is the inconsistency of the reffing, which is awful.
And they got to spread it out. You can't just have Canadian and American refs. Like
Right.
Swedes and Finns and Czechs and Germans are going to say that's not fair, and they're not going to do that.
And I'm pro-ref.
There'll be an Italian ref cruising around. And you're right. He'll place eyes on Tom Wilson. Wilson
can't wait
is
to
going.
see an Italian ref with a nice manicured stash, tight ref pants on, and just a little mini Italian boiler.
Yeah. You think so?
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. He looks like that Suarez from Seattle Mariners with the salad and the stash.
Eugenio Suarez.
But it you're right.
Dying to call something.
Tom Wilson is going to hit somebody, and they're not going to know what to do. I told you this story. Tyson Nash, when he came to the Japanese league, hit somebody, their helmet. He hit him so hard that guy's helmet went 20 feet in the air. They stopped the game, and the commissioner came out of the stands and was standing on the ice. They didn't know what to call. It was a hit.
Let's hope Japanese rules from 20 years ago don't apply to this.
Obviously.
Hopefully we get slightly better reffing.
My
Japanese
point being is that
from 20
they're going to lay
ago.
eyes on Tom Wilson, and he's going to hit somebody, and they're going to go, I'm sorry, you're suspended.
I agree. I want to see Wilson. I want to see him blow guys up. I'll be frank. I want to see him go out there, and I want to see them play Latvia, and some guy comes across the middle, and Wilson absolutely demolishes the guy. And then we'll see what gets called or what doesn't get called.
Except for one guy. You don't want to see the captain of the U.S. get blown up by him.
Well, Matthews, you're right. Ideally for the Leafs and for his sake, although he's smart enough. He's been in the league a long time.
Agreed.
The Americans know what's coming.
Exactly.
It's not the Americans that are going to be worried. It's if you play Italy or something, and some guy's cruising around and Tom Wilson's waiting for you, that's a different story.
Yeah.
All right, so the Super Bowl is officially come and gone. Felt weird the whole week. It just didn't feel like a usual build-up. It didn't feel like there was a ton of buzz. I don't know why that was. Maybe because of the two teams playing. And quite frankly, the game played out in a way that likely will not be remembered for long. But Darnold did close the loop on redemption. Seattle ends up winning the Super Bowl. To chat about it, we're joined now by a guy you hear every morning right here on TSN Radio. He is the host of the Dan Patrick Show. Here's Dan Patrick. How you doing, Dan?
I'm good. Just coming up for air after being out there for the week in San Francisco.
Yeah, we were out there for a few days, but we were on Radio Row. How did you guys get yours set up? Because it was phenomenal.
Well, we went to the San Francisco Giants, and we knew that they owned the park across from McCovey Cove, and we thought, are you using this? And they said no, and they said, could we use it? And they gave it to us for free. So we just set up a stage there and kind of a traveling stage that we have. We had it at the NFL draft and a couple of other places, and we were very lucky because there are shows that go to Radio Row that you never hear from again. Like they just go into a black hole there.
You're talking to three guys that might be in that situation, Dan.
Yeah, Radio Row is tough because I've gone over there, but you get over there and it's a never-ending hole. It's a rabbit hole, and you're like, oh my gosh. This is why I got into the business, to do a show from Radio Row.
It was a wild scene, man. The energy was crazy, but you're right. It's a rat race. It's a complete rat race. Everyone's competing with each other, which is kind of wild. Like everyone's there just trying to have a good time, or that was our general attitude. We had a lot of fun, but we don't have, a 20 or 30-year history of doing it. But, I
also have
Go ahead.
People there. So you're doing an interview, but you're doing the interview while you look around the room to see who else is coming in the room in case you want to get them on the show. So there's no real eye contact with the guest or guest because it's kind of just a glance, and then you look around and you go, oh, hey, go get that guy and bring him on next.
Exactly. And then you've got publicists in there saying that's enough, wrapping it up, and you're like, I don't know who you are. I haven't plugged your thing yet. Like you're here to plug something, but you've got somewhere else to go. I referenced prior to having you on that my kind of general view of the buildup obviously was unique for us because we were there, which was cool, but it felt more deflated than in past years. And my sense of that is because these two teams were not predictable. Like we didn't see them in the Super Bowl. The superstar quarterback wasn't involved in this particular case. Did you have the same feeling, in terms of the buzz and the buildup as we did leading up to the game yesterday?
Yeah, I think you were waiting for something, and it wasn't going to be there because neither quarterback was going to say anything. They're not exactly, personalities that jump off the screen. Your coaches, not necessarily. And then you're kind of looking for any personalities. Seattle was just a great team. There wasn't anything or things that stood out there. And then with New England, your biggest personality might have been Stephon Diggs because he dated Cardi B for a while. But that's not enough to sell a Super Bowl. But I've been involved in these before where you go, all right, is there a memorable play? If I say 15 years from now, and I'm talking to you guys, and I go, remember Super Bowl 60? And you're going to say what?
I don't know if there was.
Darnold?
The defense.
Yeah, but in terms of a memorable play, I guess the fumble 6 that basically ended it. Like that was probably it, Dan?
Probably Bad Bunny will be what we'll remember because of the controversy attached to it or the faux controversy attached to it. People would call into the show and they go, well, what do you think about Bad Bunny? And I go, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's not the end of civilization. If you want to watch it. If not, go do something. And nobody's making you. You're not strapped to a couch, but people just wanted to make it something. And I refuse to just entertain that. But I do think it'll be the Bad Bunny Super Bowl because of what we didn't really see on the field. It's nice to have defense, but that's not what sells in the NFL. And New England's defense was great, and so was Seattle's. And then these two quarterbacks, it was who's going to play better than the other or who's going to play worse than the other. And the fact that Drake May had the most passing yards in one quarter in the history of the Super Bowl, but still looked bad, is just remarkable. And Sam Darnold didn't win the game. We give him credit because he didn't lose the game.
Is that where you were going with Darnold? That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, Darnold's been much traveled, obviously, and gets the Super Bowl. What do you make of his game? What do you make of, was it he just good enough to get them to win type of thing?
I think he's a good quarterback. And I think what happens a lot of times is when you go to an organization that's not a winning organization. And it takes a while to just get that stain off of you. Sam's 28 years of age. He should be coming into his prime. People look at him like he's 35. And and I've known him, probably for 10 years, and his family. It was just he got into a bad situation, and the Jets are where quarterbacks go to die. So I think the best thing that ever happened to him was when he went to San Francisco, and he was there with Kyle Shanahan, and he got to learn how to be a quarterback. And I think that helped immensely when he went to Seattle. And even with the Vikings, he played really well. It's just if you're going to base it off of those 2 games at the end of the season and you go, he's not our future, I think that's a myopic view. I think you got to be fair to the totality of it, that he does win games. But I think you need a team around him for him to win big games.
Dan, the sports cycle is crazy as far as having a love affair with a player and a player being at peak performance and then things kind of everyone turning on the player. As far as Drake May goes, this guy was an MVP candidate. Like, what has to happen for him next? Like, what would get your antennas up, like, for something to happen negatively in a performance where you're like, Drake May is good, but maybe he can't win the big one? Or are you fully confident that he is going to be back here and gets the job done?
I'm not fully confident because I was there when Marino played Montana, and we all thought Danny will get back to the Super Bowl. He never got back to the Super Bowl. And his team, to me, was better at that time than Drake May's. I don't think New England was a really good team. I think they were fortunate. I think they have a really good coach. I think Drake May squeezed everything out of that. That offense has no stars. They have no weapons, no wide receivers. Tight ends are average. You do have a couple of running backs, and I thought they abandoned the run a little too early. But, I mean, the 4th pick overall was being treated like I would have been out there at left tackle, and he was under duress the whole time. But you see the rise. These teams will rise up one year. Like, you don't make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden 2 teams are in the Super Bowl. And then you're going to see – I wouldn't be surprised if New England doesn't make the playoffs next year, just because it works in a weird way, because their schedule will be tougher next time. And, you got a book now on Drake May. It doesn't take long for these defensive coordinators to go, okay, this is what we do. Now you have to be able to put it into practice, but I think they overachieved greatly. And I think it'll be interesting. Now, they do have draft picks and money, but I would be shoring up an offensive line, and I'd have to get me a couple of wide receivers. Now, that's easier said than done, but I think their defense, Christian Gonzalez was a star yesterday. He was so much fun. But if I'm looking at Drake May, I don't think anything's a given. I think we love to christen people and go, yep, he's going to be a star. Or nope, he's not going to be a star. Well, we're saying Drake May is going to be a star, and we said that Sam Darnold wasn't going to be. And here we are, Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl.
With Dan Patrick. So to start the show, I was trying to mold a take on the Patriots being losers in terms of the amount of losses.
There we go.
This is insanity.
Super Bowl. And these guys weren't having it, and I understand that because, for the longest time with Brady and Belichick, it was winning. Like, that was the first word I thought of. When I heard the New England Patriots, that's what I thought of, was winning. Yet they have lost a lot of Super Bowls. I believe they're 6-6 all time. Robert Kraft is 6-5 all time. They've lost 5 Super Bowls in the last 30 years, 4 in the last 20.
It sounds dumber the second time around, I can tell you that.
Work with me here, Dan. Like, is it possible for this to spin the other way where we look at the Patriots, obviously not like the Browns, who are the epitome of losing, or other teams in that type of category, but they've lost a lot in the Super Bowl. Like, does that change your view of them at all historically?
Well, we did this to LeBron James, and I don't think we recognize getting the championship. Maybe you don't win it. It'd be like if I said, okay, you're going to date 11 supermodels, but your 5 are going to end badly, or 6 are going to end badly. You got to date 11 supermodels, and that's what I view the Super Bowl. Hey, it didn't work out, but I took my chance and I got there. Would you rather have the Patriots' future or the Packers' future?
Ooh, I'm going to stick with my Packers. I'm going to stick with my Packers and a healthy Micah Parsons. I am.
Okay.
Because I think
moving forward.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Moving forward, you'll take the Packers over it. I would too, but I'm just curious, where New England ranks with some of the other teams. Even next year, I don't think they're in the top 10 as far as odds to return to the Super Bowl.
No.
And that might surprise some people. It did me. I just think they overachieved with an easier schedule. And, it was fortunate. Drake May had a horrible postseason. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold didn't have one turnover. And that's the difference. I mean, it doesn't take long to come up. It's formulaic. Can you take care of the ball, no turnovers? Can you run the football? And can you play really good defense? And if you can win a championship. We get caught up on, how many 300-yard passers and all of that and fantasy numbers. Football is still formulaic. You play defense, run the football, don't turn the ball over. And that's exactly what you got. I mean, it's boring, but that's what you got with Seattle.
Yep, that's exactly what they did last night. So if you turn the page on this season and you look to next year, my eyes go to the Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens. Like, I look at the big quarterbacks again. Maybe Cincinnati. I just don't trust their organization or their ownership. But I'm curious, where you go first. Is it one of the superstar quarterbacks gets back and wins a Super Bowl? Is it a powerhouse team that just didn't have it this year? Where does your focus go to first in terms of trying to get a read on where next season could go?
I couldn't help but think of Buffalo when that Super Bowl ended, where Buffalo's got to be going, God, we would have been so much better representing the AFC. Mm-hmm. I couldn't help but think of Lamar Jackson, of thinking these two quarterbacks, it has to fall their way one of these times. And I think they have the two of the best odds in the AFC. Seattle's going to be good. Kenneth Walker is a free agent, but for the most part, they're kind of intact there, and that's a great front office. But there'll be a team, there's always an outlier, where, if Bo Nix doesn't get hurt, they're putting up a better fight in the Super Bowl if Denver's playing against Seattle, in my opinion. So it's just so close with these teams where you get home field advantage, and without Bo Nix getting injured, I do think they win that game, and then they go to the Super Bowl, and then you roll the dice on that. So there's usually 5 to 7 teams that you go, okay, and then there's going to be 2 where you go, I didn't expect that. I don't know if the Niners are going to be good next year. They get Bosa and Fred Warner back, McCaffrey another year, Kittle another year. So you're kind of trying to handicap these teams and say, are the Bears that good? I thought they overachieved, but I did think that they were a Super Bowl caliber team. Green Bay, if they're healthy, they should be there. If Kirk Cousins goes to Minnesota, do they come back to where they were with Sam Darnold? So there's Detroit is their window of opportunity. You start to, in your mind, in your Rolodex, just go, this team or that team, can they be that team this next upcoming season? And that's what's fun about the NFL. Every year, what do we have? 4 to 6 teams didn't make the playoffs who make the playoffs the following year. And it'll be the case again next year.
Dan, you just described the Seahawks as having a great front office. Like, what goes into that? That one was kind of a layup. They just won the Super Bowl. I guess they do as of right now. But when you're looking at front offices, what do they have to have, or what do they do for you to say they're great?
Well, they've had 3 different quarterbacks, 3 different styles that, a Legion of Boom with Russ. I mean, you can even, go back further than that when they played the Steelers in the Super Bowl. You've had consistency there. Their trade deadline and, just moves that they make and draft picks that they make, that's the key. And, speaking of Russell Wilson, that Russell Wilson trade got them 3 starters on defense and I think a starter on offense. When people go, the Browns got X number of draft picks. And I go, yeah, but it's the Browns drafting. I want to know when the Ravens are drafting, they always hit home runs. Seattle always hits home runs. San Francisco's, pretty good at that. Those are the teams that stand out, and I think that's what Seattle's always done. I think they have been very consistent, and to hire Mike Macdonald, nobody knew Mike Macdonald. He was the defensive coordinator at Michigan a couple of years ago. He nearly got out of the business, and now he wins the Super Bowl. That's a talent to be able to go, that guy is going to be our head coach. And he called the defensive plays in the Super Bowl while being the head coach. That's impressive. So I give them a lot of credit because it's a well-run organization. And we always talk about it starts at the top and you allow people to do their jobs. And they certainly allowed those people to do their jobs in Seattle.
Great catching up with you, Dan, as always. We appreciate you doing this, and we'll do it again soon. Thank you.
And I'm sorry I didn't get to see you guys in person. I was trying to, but, maybe when the – yes, I was. I promise. I was trying as hard as Drake May was.
Perfect. Do you know how many people told us they were trying to get to us, but they just couldn't make it happen?
Just couldn't get to us.
Yeah.
Just about.
Last one ran long.
Do I? When the Maple Leafs make the Stanley Cup final, that's when we cross paths.
Done.
We'll all be dead, Dan. We'll all be dead.
We'll lock it in. We'll lock it in.
Packers go to the Super Bowl again.
Done. Next year in L.A. We're hoping to be there.
Okay.
We know you'll be there.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
See you, Dan. There he is, Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick Show every morning here on TSN Radio. He had a great setup. Great setup.
Well, I was going to say, it would be cool if we had Doogie kind of fly out to L.A. and find one of those locations. But would we be able to drag anyone from Radio Row to go to our special little location? No.
Listen, we had an unbelievable set. I liked Radio Row. You guys saw it was very, very convenient for everything. We walked in. We had Hayes was on his throne looking down at everybody in the cardboard cutouts. It was awesome. I don't want anything else.
No,
it would be nice to have a different setup, but to be honest, though, I loved it. I thought the FanDuel set was top notch. It was 10 out of 10. And you know what?
Funny, Jamie. Awesome. It's funny the cycle of broadcasting life. Hayes' first Radio Row, he was just he had a look on his face. He was so happy. Yeah. Dan Patrick was like, you couldn't pay me to walk in that dump of a building.
Yeah, that's the reality of it. You're right. Like the first one, amazing. I was the whole thing. I was in awe. I'm like, this is so cool.
Dude, if we ever wheel back there and we got the cardboard garbage set up, I shake your hands and I walk and I say that's the end. Never.
Well, we'll
not
see.
Doing it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I could see 20 years of that, 30 years. You're like, I don't know if I got the grind in me.
Yeah. Do you know how many guys have like bailed on Dan Patrick at Radio Row and just all the nonsense he's put up with? Like He's got. You talk about scar tissue as a player. He's got Radio Row scar tissue.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely would. All right, Eddie Olczyk coming up. We'll start teeing up the Olympic Games with him, get a slant on the American side of things, what he makes of Canada and the way things are set up. Any dark horse teams or players out there he has his eye on. We'll get to that with Eddie, and Best Bet still to come as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Chew On brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you get it all in 20 minutes or less. So fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. We've been asking, like, what is that moment of the Super Bowl? And Dan just said he thinks it's Bad Bunny. Like, that's what we're going to remember in 20 years.
It's kind of sad.
I know. They're just, I think the fumble 6, but the game was over by then. That's the problem. The game was
I think
was
he's
over.
Probably right, man. I think it would be like if you were trying to talk about you'd say the Bad Bunny Super Bowl. They would associate with that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Sam Darnold. But Darnold didn't have, like, a signature play. He just went about his business and missed a bunch of throws, actually, but didn't turn the ball over and, threw a touchdown and see you later.
I give him credit for the recognition, man. He's like, I just can't lose this game.
Yes.
Yeah.
He saw it early. Drake May had fear in his eyes.
Yeah.
That offense wasn't doing anything.
And it was field goal after field goal, and he's like, I just can't throw a pizza and blow this game. And he didn't do it.
Really smart football.
Will Darnold get paid? Like, will somebody pay him, or will he?
Well, Seattle just paid him. He's 1 year in, but as Patrick said, he's only 28, Noodles. So, yeah. I mean, now you're 28, a Super Bowl winner. You're going to rework the deal in a couple of years. I would think Seattle probably just wants to keep him for a long time, but they're going to have to pay him a lot of money.
What a sick feeling for Minnesota to watch that. Like, although he wasn't some, superhuman athlete out there, but to watch a Super Bowl winning quarterback that you had in your own organization, that must make you sick.
That's tough. That's sickening. All right, best bets later in the hour. I wonder what the Super Bowl was like in Italy. You got to think you could find it over there, right? It's a worldwide event.
Sure, yeah.
Have to believe our next guest found a way to watch it. Certainly had some action on the game at a minimum. Here he is from the NHL on TNT, former Maple Leaf, live from Italy, Eddie Olczyk. Eddie, what was the Super Bowl like for you last night?
It was a very, very, very good morning here in Milano when it came to the Super Bowl for yours truly. I was all over the Seahawks, and I was all under the under, and then all of a sudden at about 4:30 in the morning, I got a little excited there when Seattle looked like they were running in to make it a 36 or 37 score game, and then they threw the flag and got lucky there and had to sweat it out at the end. So, yeah, it was a interesting night considering the game started here at 12:50 local, and I think by the time I turned off the TV and stopped counting the powder, it was about 5:30 in the morning, so it was a good morning. So
I love it. I was saying the same thing, looking for those flags, man. I needed a flag on that Walker jailbreak. I was in the same spot as you. Set the scene for us, Eddie. You're over there. It's Italy. The rink is ready. That was a big talking point. But now all the players are there. They're getting on the ice. They're getting a sweat in. Like, are you anticipating everything to be rocking within a couple of days? What's the vibe like over there?
Well, there's a lot of excitement over at Hockey One. You have two arenas here in Milan, Italy, and Hockey One I've only been to, and that's where we're going to be doing the majority of the games for NBC. I'm here for doing the Olympics for NBC down in the States. So a lot of excitement, a lot of belief for a couple of different countries, and understanding the preliminary games, and get yourself an opportunity, and then becomes a one-game showdown playoff once you get out of the preliminary round. So I think it's a couple of bounces here or there, and make sure you're staying healthy, and a lot of questions on goaltending, not only with I think with Canada and the U.S., but Czechia as well. Is it Lucas Dostal that will start, or will it be Karel Vejmelka of the Utah Mammoth? So I think there's still a lot of things in doubt, but I think talking to a lot of different people around, both participants as far as athletes and coaches, and also media following it, I think people are pretty jacked up to get this thing going on Wednesday as far as the men go.
Eddie, if you were just in front of your desk or a table, had just the rosters on paper, and you had to pick your favorite to win the gold just off the roster, which paper are you pulling off the table?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling off Canada for sure. Now, full disclosure, I'm an alum of the red, white, and blue in the U.S., having played in the Winter Olympics back when at least Canada and the U.S. Sent amateurs to the Olympics, where every other country was paying their athletes to to play in the Winter Games. So, for me, I look at Team USA and say, yeah, I think they are the biggest threat to Canada. But I look at Canada's roster. I look at their forwards. I look at a couple of difference makers on the back end. And, dudes, does every country, O-Dog, does every country have a hole or two? Yeah, you can make a case for every country and throw question marks, like some more than others. But considering how the Four Nations went, I don't think there's any doubt that, I think the expectations would be is that, Canada is the favorite and the wagering favorite, depending on what market you look at. And then the U.S. is second. And then I think you can make a case for sure for Sweden. I mean, look at Sweden's defense, dog. I mean, it's pretty darn good. And I'll just say this. I know a lot has been made of rosters and injuries and who's added and who isn't. But I look at Sweden's roster and say that you got a guy like Adam Larsson with the Seattle Kraken, who is playing as good as hockey he's played in his NHL career. And I know he's maybe a little bit of an older guy, but I mean, he can't even get a sniff. He couldn't get a sniff in the Four Nations, and he can't get a sniff for the Olympic team. Like, that's where their strength is. Now, is their goaltending good enough? Again, another question mark, another hole for some teams. So, I would say that paper, without hesitation, would be Canada. But I would say that the wind is blowing under the Team USA, because I think the opportunity is there for, the roster that Billy Guerin has set up. And now you got to go prove it at the most important, might be one of the most important tournaments we've had, at least in the United States, as far as men's hockey, and in many, many years. And as far as Olympic competition, I think the expectations are for one thing and one thing only. And if you don't win a gold medal, then I think it'll be a disappointment for Team USA.
So, Eddie, how close is, you're talking about Team USA to Canada? I mean, is this the best team you've seen in a long time? Obviously, they haven't played in the Olympics for a minute, but when you look at it, how close is this group? Because you talked about it, the defense. Arguably, I think the defense is better than Canada on paper. I think the goaltending's better than Canada on the paper. But at the end of the day, it might be a slight margin. If you've got Canada as a favorite, how close are the U.S. to that?
Well, you're going to need somebody to step up in a big way at the biggest moment, and I think the only thing you can do, Noodles, is go back to what happened in the Four Nations. And again, we understand it was a short tournament, and there was a lot of emotion both on and off the ice for the Four Nations. And Team USA had a chance in overtime before the best player in the world got a great pass from Mitch Marner, and he goes top shelf on Connor Hellebuck, and Canada wins. So, but you need somebody. Like, who is that guy for Team USA? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Austin Matthews? Is it going to be Jack Eichel? Is it going to be a guy like Kyle Connor, who I said it when it happened, and I've said it through this whole process of picking Team USA. I was very surprised, and I thought it was the wrong decision to not play Kyle Connor in the championship game last year against Canada for a couple of different reasons. One, Matthew Tkachuk was 50-50 to play in the game. He was less than that to finish the game because he was playing on a thread. Like, he didn't have much left. And then with Chris Kreider's situation, he only played 3.5 minutes in that game. So for the last half of the game and in overtime, Team USA played with 10 forwards. So look, that was a decision by Mike Sullivan, and you got to live with it, and you learn from it or whatever. But Kyle Connor's the type of player that I think needs only one chance to score a goal. Now, in fairness, I thought he started the tournament well, and as the tournament went on, again, it's a short tournament. I don't think that he played as good late as he did early, But to me, I would want Kyle Connor in my lineup if you did get to overtime in the Olympics, or you needed somebody that needed one chance to put the puck in the back of the net. So I think long-winded, who can be that guy? Could it be Brady Tkachuk? Can it be Matthew Tkachuk? I mean, the way that they're wired, yeah, absolutely, it can be. That to me is what I'm going to be looking at as this tournament goes on. Is who's going to be that guy that can make a play and gives Team USA an opportunity to move on, or I don't want to say send a message, but let everybody know is that, they do have those type of guys. And I think when you look at those guys for Team USA during, when they're on their regular gig in a National Hockey League, I mean, you see guys and they've won and they've done a lot of those things, but until somebody does it on this stage for their particular country, I think, that would be the question to me. But I would look to, a couple of guys that are going to get that opportunity regardless of how they're playing. And if they can do it, then, they will be looked upon as very clutch when it comes to Olympic competition.
With Eddie Olczyk live from Italy ahead of the Olympic Games. And all I can think of while you're talking there, Eddie, is Matthews, the captain of the Leafs, captain of the American team.
Yeah.
The fact is, he doesn't have a reputation as being clutch. He's an all-time great Leaf. He's one of the great goal scorers of all time. Mm-hmm. He had ample opportunity in overtime of the Four Nations.
Yeah.
He was the guy. Like, he had 3 great A-plus chances, and Binnington robbed them. If he can do it, if he has a great tournament and he has a massive moment in a gold medal winning game, how much do you think that will change the reputation of Matthews in the States, Canada, throughout the NHL? And you know this city pretty well. How do you think Toronto might react?
Well, I agree with you that the way that he played in overtime in that game, the Four Nations Championship was on his stick, and he had some great chances. That's all you want. You want your best players to have a chance to be able to do it. So, kudos to him in creating the chances. Now, you'd like to see him be able to cash in, and obviously for Team USA, a much different result. But those are the type of guys, and Austin Matthews is at the front of those. I believe is that he is going to have an impact in this Olympic Games for Team USA. I think he has come a long way in the last handful of years on, being that type of player that can still make a difference even though he isn't scoring. But I think for this team and in this situation on the biggest stage is that he will be out there, and I think that he is going to need to finish off a play. Now, that could be an assist, that could be a goal. I don't know, but I just do have a feeling, and I do know what it's like to play in Toronto, and there is a lot of pressure. And I was never a captain; I was an alternate captain, and I'm an American-born kid, and and it's a much different world. I'm not trying to compare myself to Austin Matthews at all. I'm not. But I do understand of playing in a hockey mecca, in my opinion, in Toronto for the Maple Leafs, and the expectations that are there. And things are much different now than they were back in the late '80s when I was there. But would it change? I would say, yeah. I would say a lot of people, and rightfully so, is if he comes up large on the biggest stage and is right in the middle of something great for Team USA. Is that I think whatever doubters people may have. I think they probably should back off a tad, but again, this is the Olympics, and then once you get back and put on the blue and white, people are just going to be worried about one thing: is when's the next time the Leafs are going to make a serious run and eventually win the Stanley Cup. But I think he's an unbelievable player. I think that he is as good as a goal scorer that we've seen as far as for American-born players in a very, very long time, and I'm going to put him up there with some of the best goal scorers that we have in the National Hockey League. But I think there is more to his game, Bri, than just the goal scoring or the assisting, and I just expect him to to be right in the middle of something good for Team USA.
And if he ultimately does do that, Eddie, I'd have an appreciation for Just the way he goes about his business. It's a different
Sure.
game now, and he seems to be a little bit more relaxed. I mean, if you talk to Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid, they are on business over there, and they made it very clear, we're not here to have fun, we're here to win. And you never really hear that from Austin Matthews. You never hear him talk about the Stanley Cup or those types of things don't come out of his mouth, because I think he's just wired differently and he thinks about things differently. And it doesn't mean he doesn't want to win or he doesn't care, but he certainly goes about it a different way. And if it happens for him, it'll be kind of a testament to his approach, because it hasn't happened for him at the NHL level. Because those other two guys, they're maniacal about winning, man. Like they talk about it all the time.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. And I think Old Dog, if we were his teammates, you'd like to, and older guys and had been around and had some success in the National Hockey League, to be able to emphasize that to him, is that like the majority, we're all looking at you to be that guy, and sometimes you do have to put on an extra size pair of skates and sit there and say, okay, this is on me. Everybody's got to, let's go. Just follow me, follow my lead, whether it's publicly or privately, or getting out on that ice and just trying to do something maybe a little bit different and get everybody's attention that way. And look, the body language thing and stuff, I try not to, read too much into it, or what a guy says or what his, reaction is. Do I like to see when a guy misses a net? And Old Dog, I remember seeing you, and I know I did it 150,000 times in my lifetime, as if I missed a great scoring chance, I was coming back to the bench, and I was slamming a door, I was breaking a stick, like when you miss an opportunity, or you don't make the right play, I think emotion is good. And I think when you do see emotion from guys that maybe lead in different ways and are a little bit more reserved, I think it gets everybody's attention. So again, I do believe, and I'm not sure what the ultimate lines will be for Mike Sullivan and Team USA. But I think that whoever Austin Matthews plays with is going to, I believe, he's going to be the driver there and play really well. Will it be good enough? Time will tell, and you need a bounce every once in a while, and you need a little bit of luck. But I think that I think he could take his game to another level, not only at this level at the Olympics, but I think that if Team USA can't find a way to win a gold medal, I think it will only make him a better player and a better leader, having gone through it and understanding, how hard it is to win. Because as you guys know, it is so hard to win in a National Hockey League. I mean, it's crazy. And I got to tip my helmet to the hockey players of the National Hockey League with the way the schedule has been. And we know why the schedule has been what it is. And here we are. And then it's going to be an absolute sprint coming home. And I know there are some teams on the outside looking in, but who knows how teams are going to react. I mean, some teams, I think Tampa's got like 27 games left in something crazy, like 47 days or so. So, I know Tampa's put some points on the board and, money in the bank, so to speak, with points. But you just never know how teams are going to react. And, if you can get on a little run, and if you have a great Olympic, maybe you could use that to your advantage.
Great catching up with you, Eddie. Enjoy it over there in Italy, buddy. We're looking forward to seeing the coverage, and we'll catch up again later in the tournament or when you get home. Thank you for this.
All right, guys. I'm going to bed. I'm going to try anyway, so.
Attaboy.
No going out, Old Dog. I'm not going out. No, I'm going out tonight.
I can see your nose growing through the monitor.
There he is, Eddie Olczyk. All right, Best Bets coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Looking at the NBA tonight, a couple of teams within the Raptors division getting points. Brooklyn's terrible, terrible. But so are the Bulls. So I will take the points. Nets at home parlayed with the Sixers on the road in Portland tonight. Those are your best bets, powered by FanDuel. Same game parlays now available for every NBA game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18 plus, physically located in Ontario. All right. Thanks to Eddie Olczyk and Dan Patrick and the Seahawks and the Pats and the NFL and Bad Bunny and everyone involved in the Super Bowl yesterday. As we turn the page on that and start looking ahead to what it's going to be a crazy offseason, I'm sure, in the NFL, and the Olympic Games officially underway. Going to be fun. Going to be fun. Shout out to Lindsey Vaughn as well. That was tough, but grinding it out.
Tough to watch.
Tough to watch. Good for. She tried, right? She's like, I'm going for it, and it was a grind.
And tomorrow, if they take a picture of the three of us, let's make sure all three are in it and don't get edited out.
Yes,
like
we don't need the New Jersey Devils running our Twitter account. We'll explain that tomorrow.
Oh, my God.
Let's explain that tomorrow. All right, thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it, everyone, for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and up on YouTube Live. Every show up on TSN's YouTube channel. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
Moist Towels for the win. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.